Boaters. This is Pauly from All Docked Up, Thursday night podcast night. And everybody knows I do not do a podcast without my main man, Captain Buzz. Captain Buzz, how you doing?
Roger that, Skipper. Doing fantastic and looking forward to another great informative podcast for our listeners.
Dude, we hook it up. We bring it solid every single week. We got an awesome special guest speaker tonight. I love it. I'm excited. I'm hyped.
I really like when we have special guests. It's much easier for us, selfishly, because we got things to talk about.
Get the hell out of here. Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here. I'll tell you what. Buzzy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. And so,
how you doing?
Let's go right into the captain's briefing. So we're going to skip.
Well, you know what? Before we get into captain's briefing, okay. I'll call an audible. I'm drinking this IPA pile of shit right now. Whoa. And you have a gorgeous, beautiful gin and tonic. And if you tell me there's Fever Tree in there, I'm lunging through the laptop and I'm going to give you a fresh one.
Dude, do I make a gin and tonic without
Fever? No, you don't, you son of a bitch. So, yeah, I'm drinking this horrible stuff. I got no gin. It's not good. It's not good.
You need to prep better for Thursday nights, my friend.
Well, that's because I travel all over the place. So I got Hendrix bottles like halfway through the Eastern Shore.
Blah, blah, blah. Stop at the store on your way to the office. What's the matter with you?
Buzzy, tell me about what do we got for Captain's Briefing tonight?
So, Captain's Briefing, and, a brief one, but it's important, and I know you'll appreciate this because we've seen it before. And hell, I may have even done this before, but it's watch your wake.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm sitting here at the office at the Yacht Haven and watching people go by right into the heart of Annapolis, right next to the Naval Academy, and they're throwing a 2-3 footer, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it's interesting that there are a lot of folks that don't understand. And look, there's places where you may not see the signs, you may not understand that it happens to be an official no wake zone. But you've got to think about what is in the path of your wake. Are there boats moored? Are there people trying to fuel up? Are there people trying to pump out? Right? That is going to upset all that. And you're responsible for it legally. You just got to be careful. Watch your wake.
Yeah. If you're pulling in listen, guys, anywhere to complement that, Buzzy, anywhere that you're traveling and you're throwing a wake, if there is another boat anywhere remotely near you, 6 miles an hour, that's it. Keep it low, keep it slow, keep it steady. Don't be throwing a wake that's going to damage, because everybody remember, somebody calls in your registration number. Guess what? Whatever damage is done to their boat, you're responsible for your wake. You're paying that bill. It's not going to be a good day.
And it's a good point that you raised, at a 6 mile an hour speed limit, when you're bucking tide in a big hull displacement, you might be throwing a big enough wake that you need to slow down less than 6 miles an hour.
I agree. Just pay attention to what you're doing. And boat, if you don't want someone to do that to your boat, don't run through a no wake zone and cause a problem with anybody else's boat.
Great advice. Great advice.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get into our special guest speaker tonight, because I am hyped. My detailer's briefing tonight is going to be our special guest speaker, my main man, Corey, the owner of the last detailer in Annapolis, Maryland, along with Muller Marine. And Corey, you're live, buddy. You're taking on right now. Go for it, buddy.
How you guys doing?
Hey, outstanding.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be yes, it's exciting. I got a fellow detailer who's crushing it in the Annapolis marketplace, and I love it. We got some exciting stuff to talk about, and we're gonna, it's gonna be great. I'm really excited to be able to have somebody else and see what chemicals he uses, whether I agree with him or not, how much time he's got. Corey, tell me, how long have you been in business?
Well, I've been doing stuff on my own for at least 5 years, but I've been in the marine industry for about 12. Started working for my granddad, and then about 5 years ago, I ended up opening up my own business, The Last Detail. So it's been 5 years strong. And then last year, we acquired Muller Marine from an existing owner, and I'm kind of running that as well with the business partner on that one. So it's all going really well.
Nice. And how many employees do you have working for you currently right now?
Over the two businesses, around 12. It might dip down a little bit here in the slow time since it's starting to become winter, but It's about 12 right now.
And how old are you?
27.
27 years
Good for
old,
you.
Captain Buzz. 12 employees on payroll, crushing it. And here's let's start with this. Do you when me and you first met? I want you to tell all the listeners, how did me and you meet? This is something that I would love for the listeners to hear. Buzzy, you'll get a kick out of this.
It's pretty funny. Well, I was working on a boat at Port Annapolis in Annapolis, Maryland, and we're doing a cut, polish, and wax to this. It's like a 35-foot formula. And
Fast Tech formula.
And basically, I was just working on the boat, and next thing, this guy comes up and he's asking me if I'm using Benzerna compound on the boat. And I started looking at this guy, and I'm like, yeah, actually I am. So then I ended up meeting, I guess, your employee. What's her name?
Bonnie Smith,
Bonnie.
our East Coast sales director. Yep.
So I knew Bonnie because she stopped by my office before that, but I never met Paul. So I guess we kind of hit it off from the beginning since he knew the smell of the compound that we were using.
I blew you out of the water. Buzzy, Captain, he could not believe. He's like, how the hell did you smell that from 100 feet away? And I'm like, buddy, you're using a DeWalt buffer. I know that sound anywhere. I got too many.
You know that smell better than me, I guess.
So Corey, you said you worked for your grandfather before you got out on your own. Please tell our audience about that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember my first day, but it was probably late middle school, early high school when I started working for him. And I mean, I worked for him over 7 years, I guess. Kind of started learning from the existing manager there. His name was Jeremy. Learned a lot. We actually rode around town in an Oldsmobile wagon. This kind of, we had all the details.
Not a Vista Cruiser.
I don't know if it was a Vista Cruiser, but it had all the detail supplies inside, so it smelled like wax on a hot day. So it's kind of a fun memory. But so I worked for him 7 years. Over there, I guess the first few years, just kind of learned from Jeremy. Another manager came in there, and I learned from him. And then I guess towards high school, and then I guess early college maybe is when I started managing that business for him. And then I kind of worked my way up to the top and was like, I just want to do my own thing.
I love it.
That is a great story. That is a great story. I love it.
Here's a guy who is busting his ass. He wants to be somebody. He wants to contribute in the industry. He's willing to learn, and he brings it right to the mat every single day. And now you're self-employed, 2 companies servicing the marine industry. I tilt my hat to you, my friend. We need thousands more just like this young man in the industry to be able to start a business and help out our fellow boaters and get their service work done.
Tell us the difference between what Muller Marine does and Last Detail does. Give us a breakdown.
So Last Detail is fully mobile. We're located in an Eastport, but that's our home spot. But we travel to the boat within, a 25-mile range on average, roughly. And we do services from washing. We do compound waxing, ceramic coating, shrink wrapping this time of year, interior cleaning. Really anything clean or detail-wise we can handle.
Nice. Inside the bilge, the interior, you mentioned carpets,
Correct.
Cabinets, everything, right?
Yep, that's correct. There's not really anything detail-wise we can't really do. Polished stainless, obviously. Clean teak. We do varnish as well. Really, whatever our customers are wanting, we can kind of cater towards them. Muller Marine is more of an on-site repair shop. We're a small service yard in Eastport. We run both businesses out of the same yard. But Muller Marine is more of a bottom painting. They do gel coat repairs, fiberglass repairs. They do coring, recoring on rotten cores. If it's rotten, we can take that out and redo it.
Transom, you're able to do work along those lines?
We haven't done a rotted transom yet, but I'm sure my guys can handle it. So we have some pretty experienced techs over there. They really know what they're doing. And we also do winter storage as well.
Nice.
Wow. Fantastic.
I'm telling you, he blows. When I first met him, Buzzy, I saw myself. Here's a guy trying to make it, sweating his ass off, covered in compound. He had the fibers from the the 3M
pad.
pad.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he's covered over from head to toe. And I was like, dude, I love this guy because he was me. That's how I got my start. Chesapeake Bay Boat Works, Upper Chesapeake Bay. And I love it. I love meeting fellow detailers. And I'll tell you what, Captain Buzz, you should have seen what he did to that Fast Tech because I looked at it and, I'm looking on the bow. I start from the front of the bow and I go right down the starboard side and I'm looking. I'm like, God damn, this thing's got it. It's beautifully cut, completely even. There's no shadows, no cloudy spots, nothing. I mean, there was no oxidation left over because I looked at the front of the bow from the front of the windshield to the forward deck and I'm like, oh, so that's what the boat looked like when you started. I give you all the props in the world, my friend.
I appreciate that.
Honest to God.
Well, thank you.
Honest to God. I tell you what, and right when I saw him, I'm like, this guy, his companies have to be on the platform because I know that he's going to deliver such incredible customer service on the All Docked Up platform. And I wouldn't stop until he signed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Great call. Great call. Corey, talk about, we often talk about an educated consumer is our best customer. And because we at All Docked Up want to educate the consumer as well as the service provider. Talk about, how you make a customer happy when they may want to, I don't know, not go all the way to make their boat look good.
That's a great question. I feel like that's a hard question to answer. It's hard you got to manage expectations. I feel like if you manage the expectation, what they're wanting, then I guess you could have a good result when it's done. I do have a struggle with how many customers don't want to do like a compound and wax. They just want to do a wax if their boat is oxidized, and it's hard to steer them away from that. But I try to educate them, I guess, and tell them it needs compound. We don't normally if they just want the wax, we don't normally just wax it. If that's all they're wanting, I guess we'll kind of turn that business away because I don't want to do cheap work, I guess.
Well, and Captain Buzz will tell you, Captain Buzz, how many times have we had the conversation in all the years that I've been, working on boats? I've had a customer say, Pauly, do me a favor, throw a wash and just throw a quick coat of wax on it. And I said, sir, I appreciate the confidence and I really want to make you happy. But at the end of the day, I cannot do it. And he looks at me and he says, Pauly, why won't you do what I ask? I said, because here's the problem. I will do exactly what you want and you will be happy. But every one of your neighbors on that dock is going to be like, who did your boat? Pauly did that? We're not going to use him. Everybody's got an opinion. I made the customer happy, but at the end of the day, we shortcutted the job to try and fit his budget. And I would just rather say, I'm sorry, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, but I cannot help you because my work and your boat is going to be a reflection in the dock.
Right.
And we just can't do that. Because everybody's going to have that opinion. Like, you paid for that? That's maybe what they wanted to because that was within their budget. But that's a job that I just am not interested in taking.
So for both of you, you will pass on a job where the customer is not educated enough to understand what they need to make their boat look right. That is a big statement from both of them.
But you know what? And Corey, I know will agree with me. When I did it, when a customer said, Pauly, I'd like to get my boat done. First time customer, Corey. I'd have him come down and I would do 2x2s. And I would do 3 2x2 spots. Here's a 1-step. Here's a 2-step. Here's a 3-step. Here is, you got a 30-foot boat. Here's $600, $1,200, $1,700. What exactly do you want me to do? And I'm sure you've been in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
That was the only way that I could educate a customer to say, this is what the end result's going to be, and here's the price tag associated with that.
Right.
It was the only way.
So Corey and Pauly, talk about the fact that you get a customer who listens to your advice, because what the customer needs to understand is that next season or the end of the season, how the cost goes down, right? So Pauly, if you're going to do a 3-step because a boat is chalked out, right? Next season it might only be a 2. It might be a 1, right? And they have to understand that.
Right. Your first detail, Corey, help me out here. Your first detail with my business, with Chesapeake Bay Boat Works, in all these years is the most expensive detail you will ever have.
Yeah, for
Corey.
sure. Yeah, definitely agree with that because we have to get it up to our par. We have to bring it back to life.
You got to bring it back to life. And I tell all my customers all the time, fiberglass, unless you want to do a 3+ step, fiberglass is like your skin. Did you ever put that moisturizer on Monday night and it felt a little bit good, but it dried up the following morning? No, you never did that. You don't use moisturizer up your ass. But, at the end of the day, gel coat is like your skin. It takes time to manipulate. It takes time to bring it back. It's not going to show its face beautiful unless you do the necessary steps and spend the money in order to be able to do that. So your first detail with me is always the most expensive. But then it takes me a couple seasons to get your boat the way that it needs to, and your expense actually drops over time.
Right. So Corey, I'm sure you have repeat customers, and after you've gotten the gel coat to an acceptable level where it needs a weekly wash and an occasional wax, right?
Yeah, we definitely, I would agree with Paul in saying that the expensive detail is the first one. And then I always try to advise some type of plan so that the customer doesn't have to spend so much money at once and kind of, not like a price break, but it's less
breaking
work.
Up the cost over time.
Yeah, it's less work on us because we're spending less time on the boat, so it's less labor, so it's a less amount for the invoice. So I definitely agree with what Paul's saying.
It's a great point because it's almost as if, and this is for new boaters too. You can't just expect it to last for a bunch of years without doing some treatments. You got to take care of it. So understanding that it requires maintenance, and it may not be a 3-step. You have a new boat, you need a 1, maybe a 2 after a couple of years, but you get them in some type of a maintenance program. It's a required cost, if you will.
Sure.
It's the cost of ownership of a boat. And Corey, we've had podcasts that we've chatted about this before. What is and I know you do this with your customers, and I always did with mine. What is your detail plan for the year? Number 1, how do you expect your boat to look? What expectations do you have when you come down to your boat? I have said this to every customer under the sun that I've ever had. I said, you're going to pay for this both ways. I said, either A, you pay a company to take care of your boat, wax, compound, polish your boat, keep it washed, keep it clean. And every time you come down, you get to enjoy a boat that you work so hard for. You work hard, you play hard, and you get to enjoy a shiny, good boat. Everything looks beautiful. The boat's maintained. Or you do not. And then the next person that puts in a bid on your vessel lowballs you because cosmetically the boat does not showcase at all. Mm-hmm. So you pay no matter what.
Right.
The question is do you want to be able to enjoy it with your family, or do you want the next guy who's going to own your boat is going to lowball you, and then he's going to have to spend the money, and you still spent the same amount of money anyway?
Right.
You pay coming or going. Either way, you're going to pay for it. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
So let's shift gears here for a moment, gentlemen, and talk about a technology that I'm sure a lot of our podcast listeners have heard about, and I'd like to learn more about it. And it's ceramic coating. And so, when is it a good idea for someone who has a gel coat boat that maybe you can't bring it back? Maybe it's a one time to reduce the cost. Corey, tell us about ceramic coating. When and why and how?
Great question. I feel like there's a long answer. First off, we only recommend ceramic coatings on boats 10 years older or newer. We actually previously ceramic coated a 1990 Viking. It was, I think, my first ceramic coating job that I've ever had. This was probably 2 years ago. And the gel coat was super porous before we even started. It was very oxidized. So we brought it back to life. It looked really good. Put ceramic coating on it. Within the end of the year, it was faded again. So after that that was a big learning lesson for us. And we actually gave that customer another free detail because I told him it would last 2 years, which it was advertised as. But learning that we only put ceramic coating on newer boats of 10 years older or less. So that's I guess the first part of that question you asked. Secondly is, like I said, it works best on new boats. If the boat has been hammered by the sun and is chalky, it needs a lot more work to be brought back to life before the ceramic can go on there.
Because it's all about the prep, Corey.
It's all about the prep work.
Buzzy, we've spoken about this before. And in other podcasts, Corey, I'll tell you what, all bullshit set aside, I have never been a fan. I've never been a fan. So this is an awesome podcast because, I like to bring somebody in who likes it, who opposes how I think. But we were talking, Captain Buzz, earlier, that if you are doing ceramic coating, if the prep work is not proper, if it's not properly done, the ceramic coating will do nothing. Corey, help me out here.
I definitely agree with that,
I didn't do it. You do it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So over the course of the years, we've been applying ceramic, which has probably been 3-4 years now. We've obviously learned as we've gone. We won't put ceramic coating on a boat if it has any swirls. We won't put it on if it's oxidized. It has to be properly prepped. It also has to be de-waxed. So normally on boats that we price that are at least 2 years old, it normally needs at least a 3-step process. So we do like a heavy cut, sometimes like a medium cut, and then a polish. So after that 3-step, you do have to, the ceramic coating application itself is a 3-step process. So in the end, you're spending 6 steps on the whole boat to get it ceramic coated. The last 3 steps, the first step of that 3-step is a de-waxer. It's just like you can buy it at the auto body shop.
You're stripping the whole of absolutely everything.
You're just stripping to make sure there's no wax on it, which the compounded polish should have done anyways. This is just your last check to make sure there's no wax on there. And then the ceramic coating is a 2-step process application. And it's not as simple as waxing a boat. You got to let it flash on the surface and let it sit on the surface for a certain amount of time. But there's a lot of variables that come into it. You can't ceramic coat in direct sunlight because the sunlight will dry it up really quick. We actually just recently did a 55-foot Fleming, and we spent 3 weeks on it.
Oh my God.
3 weeks. The dude.
That's my boat, baby. Buzzy. I love my Flemings. I love the 55.
This customer just took it south. He's wanted a Fleming since '93. So he finally, I guess, had the money to buy one. But we spent legit 3 weeks on this boat, ceramic coating it top to bottom. There were parts of the boat that we wet sanded. So the boat itself, I think it was a 2014. So it's within our 10-year range. So we had to put so much compound and polish on it so it would accept the polish properly. And I think it turned out really well. So I'm hoping it'll be kind of our showboat moving forward. We just finished that probably 2 months ago. So he actually took it down to Florida. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like in the spring.
I'll tell you what, that's awesome. That's awesome. And every time, just to clarify, Captain Buzz, that when he's doing the prep work and he's doing his compounding and polishing, his compounds contain no silicone and no wax at all. They are complete folding compounds and polishes. And there is no residual residue that's left. No, because if that hull is not completely clean and completely prepped, the ceramic coating will not adhere to the gel coat and not fill in the porous gel coat the proper way. And you will have a cloudy surface in due time, and it does not look good.
So I've got a couple questions for Corey. So first of all, you said you have to do it out of direct sunlight, so you're inside or you've tented the vessel to do this, right?
It could be cloudy. We actually ceramic coated that day on cloudy days, and it works great on cloudy days. Direct sunlight's definitely a no-go. It's really hard to do.
And how long does it need to dry before the sun comes out? I mean, you can do it in a day, and if it's an overnight and the sun comes out, you're okay?
So basically, the working time with the material is when you're actually wiping the material onto the surface. It needs to flash, which normally without sun will take like 10, 15 minutes roughly.
Wow.
The coating should be somewhat hard to wipe off, but if you let it sit too long, it'll dry. And then you got to repolish the section out and then kind of start from square one. So it's really it's a timing thing. So once the coating is put on there, it sits for 10 or so minutes. We wipe it off. The boat can't get properly washed for at least a week. It's got to sit for a week with no one washing it, no one drying it. Natural rain does not affect it at all, assuming no one dries the rain off the boat.
So there's a natural cure
Wow.
time before
Correct.
your next physical watch of at least a week.
Correct. Yes.
Buzzy,
So,
another week. That's pretty intense there, Kat.
This is amazing. Yeah, you got a lot of time dedicated to get this done. So the other question is, now after this cure time, does it then need a wax coating on top of it to protect it even more?
Good question. Yeah, so no wax is needed. As assuming the boat is properly maintained, which we and the company I use advise is just properly washing, properly soaping, properly rinsing, and then drying is key. If all that's done, every couple weeks at least, the ceramic coating itself will last. But if this whole big process is done, it sits for 7 days, and then the customer can kind of treat it like it's normal. If that boat's not washed for, a year, it's the dirt buildup is going to affect how the coating lasts.
Sure.
There's like quick detail sprays you can buy that will kind of enhance the water beating. I think that term's hydrophobicity is the proper scientific term for water beating off a boat. That'll help enhance it. But as long as it's prepped right, the ceramic coatings apply correctly, I mean, you're going to get like 15 to 24 months of protection.
Well, here's a question that I have.
Wow.
And I've heard this, Captain Buzz, and I've heard this a couple of times. So when you get a ceramic coating, you can actually pick, and correct me, Corey, if I'm wrong, but can't you pick whether you want a 1-year application, 2-year application, 3-year application, depending on how much you're willing to spend? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there or is there not a ceramic coating that's rated for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Where are we at with that?
Sure. So I think if we're really talking about the marine industry, the company we use, they just have it's a Marine Pro is what they call it. It's advertised the last 18 to 24 months or so. There are other companies out there that have the years, like 1, 2, 3, 3 years lasting. I think that's mainly for the auto industry though. I think for the marine industry, it's it's a lot more harsh on the boat compared to a car. So the water, and then you got direct sunlight all the time, and it's gel coat most of the time. So it's just it's a different surface. So there's not really, from what I've seen, there's not levels of how long the ceramic lasts. The company we use is just a one Marine Pro product.
18 to 24 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And actually, I would be more, with all the years that I've been doing this, I would settle for that more. I have yet to see a ceramic coating job that lasted longer than 18 to 24 months. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I hate to be objective about this, but I haven't. And I've never done this. I've always been a fan, and I still have the unified belief, but my attitude is changing where, I would see a job that was done, and I'm old fashioned. I believe if you want your boat to look good, you're going to cut it, you're going to polish it, you're going to wax it.
So I have one more question for Corey, and then a comment. But the question would be: would you recommend? Not recommend's not the right word, but someone like I have a blue hull and obviously white fiberglass above the gel coat above the rub rail. Do you do jobs that just do the hull, just the freeboard?
Yeah. Customers kind of pick and choose what they do. We actually, early on in the ceramic coating application for us, we actually just had a customer do a quarter of the way from the aft part of the hull kind of to, I guess, a quarter from where the transom was. So the back quarter of the hull, that's the only area he wanted ceramic coated because the diesel soot
because he's got a diesel boat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I've heard this. He's got a diesel boat. So what he's looking to do is get that area ceramic coating so it's easier to wash off the diesel soot and the burn when he's running.
Isn't that interesting?
And it works.
Okay.
He commented, a couple months after we did it, and he was very happy with how easy it was to clean. that's the whole point of ceramic coating, is to make it easier to maintain. But it's a lot of work to install it onto a boat.
So, and my comment, thank you for that. So my comment is, and Paulie will know what I'm talking about. I have been using all season a ceramic boat wash. Now I am not, my gel coat has not been ceramic coated. Paulie got my top
That's
side.
because you got a Pauly in your back pocket.
Right,
I make
so
your yacht look beautiful, you son of a bitch.
My gel coat's good. But I want to tell you that this, and I'd like to hear your opinion of, right, some of it's gimmicks, and I've seen in the auto parts store, and that's really not for marine, but this particular product is a marine boat wash. And what's unique about it is that you don't rinse it off. And let me finish for a moment. Right, Paulie? You wash the boat, right in the instructions, right on the, you wash the boat.
He started on the forward bow, on the forward deck. He would wash the boat, and literally the instructions would tell him not to rinse off the boat. Where me and you typically wash a boat, we want to get the dirt and suds off,
Right.
and wash away the dirt. On the ceramic coating wash, it says, you know what? If you start on the front of the bow, you get to the backside of the transom on the swim platform. If it dries, that's fine. Then go ahead and rinse it off.
Huh. I've never heard of that before.
It's an amazing product. I'll share it with you when we conclude. But are you familiar with any kind of ceramic wash? And does that look? And I know you want a ceramic coat a boat, but are you familiar with any ceramic washes?
Honestly, I've never even heard of a ceramic wash before. I've heard of wash and waxes before, but I've never heard of a ceramic wash.
All right, so I'm going to turn you on to this, and we may cover it on another podcast because
he's going to come on again. We're going to school him.
What's been interesting about this product is how much easier the boat has been to clean throughout the season after using it and using it and using it. The washing process is much faster, just like that guy with his diesel soot after it's been ceramic coated.
Right.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So are you putting that ceramic wash, is it going on a surface that's like properly waxed, or is it oxidized, or?
No, Paulie's got me straight. So
he doesn't have an oxidized piece of fiberglass on his entire boat.
So that's a great point. You can't use this on chalk. I don't care what you do. It's not going to work.
No, listen, and I've told everyone, everybody says, Paulie, I found this new product, and, I don't have to compound the boat. Bullshit. I'm sorry. It is absolute, utter bullshit. If you believe that there's a product out there that is going to, look at this one step and it'll look gorgeous, and you're not physically compounding the boat to remove the oxidation off of the fiberglass, that is an absolute wives' tale. It is crap. It doesn't work. And if anyone wants to prove me wrong, I am in Annapolis. Give me a shout, because it ain't happening. It's not happening. Elbow grease is what makes a boat look good. And I will tell you what, if any, there are products that help out that make life easier. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry. Elbow grease, Corey, elbow grease, buffers, compounds, experience make your boat look good. And I'll tell you what, Captain Buzz, I could talk all night long, but I think we're running out of time here, bub.
I think we're at it at the end here. But Corey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
What we've heard about the way you got in the business, the way you've built your business, the ceramic coating, educating customers, fantastic material. We really, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'll tell you what, Corey, it's been an absolute pleasure. Corey, from the last detail, Muller Marine, Eastport, Annapolis, Maryland. Everybody throw him a little bit of love. And I'll tell you what, Buzzy, before we actually cut off, I tell everybody who's listening to the podcast, rate the podcast. If you're downloading the app, rate the app when you download it. Give us your feedback. Review the app on whether it's an iOS or a Google product. I'm sorry, Google product, an Android product. Rate the app when you download it. Rate the podcast. Review the podcast.
We, you and I, and terrific guests like Corey want to continue to bring content to our boating audience, and to enable us to do that, we've got to have some folks that download the All Docked Up app and give us a rating and rate the podcast. All of these things are very, very important. Hit the like button, write a review. Really, really important to keep this going, because I think we've got something really great happening here, but we need your help. We need your help.
Tell us what you want to listen to. Send us in emails. Ask us questions. Put us to work. I'm okay with it, everybody. Our job here at All Docked Up is to serve boaters, marine service providers, and vendors, anything that we can do to make the industry better, more robust, and with a lot less headache. And that's what All Docked Up is all about. So,
Roger that.
Buzzy, I'll tell you what, Pauly signing off on 6-8 there, Cap.
Absolutely. Captain Buzz from All Docked Up. Corey, thank you again. Standing by on 6-8.
Thanks again.
Everybody have a great night. Thank you for listening.